Ready to make a real difference? Become a certified professional coach with Empower Coaching and Training. Our next CPEC cohort, accredited by the International Coaching Federation and offered in partnership with Oregon State University, starts February 28th. Spots are limited. Learn more at yesempower.com.
Welcome to Rewired. I'm your host, Tiffany Grimes with Empower Coaching and Training. Welcome back to Rewired, folks, where neuroscience meets real life change. This is Tiffany, and today is a solo episode, so it's just me, and actually it does involve a listener who wrote in with a question who really inspired this entire episode today. So I suspect that many of you will recognize yourself in the question and will find today's topic and deep dive into it a really insightful bit for you as you go about your week. So I'm excited to hear from you about how this lands. And if you have questions, please write in. I love to get them. I put the link in the show notes, and we've got a team of professionally certified coaches, including myself, that we will bounce your questions through depending on the topic. So check it out. Also, I want to do 3 quick announcements before we dive into the episode today. One, you probably have heard, we are a certified professional coach training program. We offer 2 cohorts a year. And our first cohort of 2026 is open and begins on February 28th. We still have spots available. We are a level 1 accredited provider through the International Coaching Federation. We are also embedded within Oregon State University's PACE program. It's a very unique and wonderful and deep training. I am part of it along with 2 other full-time faculty and support staff as well. Please join us if you are thinking about a professional coach certification and you want to be backed by not only Empower, which, I think is pretty great, but of course the International Coaching Federation, and backed by Oregon State University. Check us out. So I'll put the link in the show notes. You can find more at yesempower.com. Want to let you know that on March 12th, I have an open training open to the public. It is sponsored through Oregon Employment and Training Association, known as OETA. And the focus is boundaries. So the neuroscience and mindfulness and really thinking about boundaries through the lens of self-care and how to step into those things as kind of a superpower, if you will. So that's happening March 12th. Again, I'll put the link in there. You register directly through OETA website. And then finally, want to let you all know, I do have 1 spot left. If you are interested in getting coached by me, with me in a brain-based coaching model, I would love to connect with you and see if we're a good fit for each other. Again, you can find all of that information at yesempower.com. Okay, let's dive into the topic today. And I want to just start with a listener question that, again, I suspect many of you will recognize yourself in. This one came from Maria in San Antonio. So Maria, if you're listening, thank you so much for tuning in to Rewired. She shared that she's done a lot of personal growth work, and she often listens to Rewired on her morning walks. Love, love, love that, Maria. Great idea. She mentioned that episode 19, where we explored the TEB cycle. For those of you who remember, that's thought, emotion, behavior. She said it was especially helpful for her. She could finally slow down, notice her thoughts, and feel less reactive and more compassionate with herself. She went on to really talk about and ask this specifically. She says, I understand my patterns. I can catch my thoughts. I even know better. So why do I keep doing the same thing? And when I read that, I thought this is such an important question because it's not a failure question. It's really a readiness question. That question tells me someone is no longer stuck at the surface. And I'll explain what that means in a moment. They're standing right at the doorway of real change. We're going to go deeper than a surface level. So I know that this is some version of this question I hear a lot, and I'm guessing it resonates with a lot of you. So I'm excited to jump into that. So if you've ever asked yourself the same type of question, your version of that, which may be as simple as like WTF, or it could be, nicely articulated. I want you to hear this clearly. This is not a willpower issue. You've heard me say this many times. This is not a motivational problem. This is not a personal failure. Most people assume that if change isn't sticking, they just need to try harder, more discipline, more consistency, more pressure. But neuroscience and coaching tells us something very different. And if you are like Maria and you've been listening for a while, you know that. Very often people are working incredibly hard to change. They're just working at the wrong level. So what does that mean? In episode 19, this is the one Maria mentioned in her question or her intro, we explored the TEB cycle. So thought, emotion, behavior, that comes from cognitive behavioral therapy and coaching. TEB helps us see how our thoughts influence how we feel, how our emotions drive our behavior, and how our behaviors reinforce our thoughts. If you didn't listen to that, go back and check that one out. It's a powerful tool for awareness and interruption. But there's a question I always ask next as a coach. What's shaping the thoughts in the first place? Because thoughts don't appear out of nowhere and they're not uniform. We all can experience one situation and each of us experience completely different thoughts about it. They are shaped by beliefs, and beliefs are shaped by identity. A simple way to say this is thoughts are often the messenger. That's like what we hear, what we notice is the thought. This sucks. You suck. I don't like this. They don't like me. Whatever it is, that's kind of the messenger, right? The beliefs and the identity are the source of that messenger. So they're the roots, they're what's behind it. Not all change happens at the same depth. There's a model often referred to as the neurological levels of change. Sometimes it's just called levels of change. It's got a whole bunch of different names. It comes from neuro-linguistic programming or NLP. And while there's a lot of big words attached to it and it comes through many different names, the idea itself is incredibly intuitive. And we teach this in our coach training program because it is such a profound level of transformational change. So at the surface level, you heard me say that word earlier, that phrase, surface level. At the surface level, we have our environment. So like what's happening around us. And I'm going to walk through an example. We also have behaviors. So this is what we're doing in our environment, essentially, or with the things that are in our environment. We're going to go a little bit deeper than that. So beneath the environment and behavior lies a layer called capabilities. This is our skills, our strategies, our habits. This might be conscious or unconscious. And then below capabilities, so you can feel us going deeper and deeper. Below capabilities is belief. What we believe is true or possible lies within that layer. And then below that is identity, which is who we believe we are. And there is an additional layer that we can add in if you want to go deeper into that model through NLP. But for our purposes, I'm going to end us here. So we've got environment, behavior, capabilities, beliefs, and identity. Problems created at one level usually can't be solved at that same level, right? So if we have an issue with our behavior, so that our stuck point is what we're doing, and all we do is focus on changing that behavior, we're not probably going to see a lot of change. We actually need to go a few layers deeper. Like, do we have the skill level to do that? What are my belief systems about this thing that I'm trying to change? Who am I at the basis of this change? So if the stuckness is at a certain level and we're attacking it at that certain level, which tends to be how we do things, we might find that we're not actually making the change stick. So let's walk through a real life example. And Maria in San Antonio, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to use you as an example. I'm going to make up a little story about what you want to work on here. And we'll see if we can walk through this example together. So Maria, let's say you come into a coaching session and you say, I keep telling myself I want to slow down. I want to be more present. I want to make these changes. I know better. And yet I keep overcommitting and burning myself out. If we weren't looking at going deeper and instead just met Maria right at this level that she's at, this is kind of a surface level, right? She's talking about behavior. We might just focus on, well, what could you do differently? How could you organize your time? How could you time block self-care? Right? Those are all questions and coaching that keep us at that same level of stuckness that she is. But let's walk through what else might be happening and how, as a great coach or a great leader, we could go deeper and really find where the stuck place is. So if we look at these different levels of change when we talk to Maria, so at the environmental level, again, I am making up a whole lot of stuff here about Maria. Maria has a full calendar. There's too many meetings on her calendar for her. This is her wording. Too many obligations, not enough kind of, white space or creativity space or space just to be. At the behavior level, so now we're starting to walk these downstairs here. At the behavior level, she's saying yes when she means no. She's pushing through exhaustion. She's not resting when her body asks for it. And what I want you to do is just notice how luring it is just to go in and help change behavior. Oh, well, let's help Maria say no when she means no. But here's why that alone won't work. So we're going to keep going down these levels. So now we're at the capabilities level. She might have good tools. She probably does. She might even understand boundaries, how to have, flexible boundaries or not too rigid, and how to be aware if she's crossed over those things. She's very aware of boundaries. She's listened to the podcast. We know that. She's doing it every day. She's investing in herself. She knows how to pause and reflect. So she's already got some pretty great skills here or capabilities. Let's go another layer deeper. So from the outside, it kind of looks like Maria just needs to use the tools more consistently. She's got the tools. She just needs to use them more consistently. And I want you to just notice how you want to dive in there, right? And let's just make a game plan of how to utilize these great tools that you know how to do. But what we're going to do as people who are transformational coaches or really invested in transformational conversations, we're going to go a little deeper and into belief levels. We're going to ask questions that help get those beliefs out. But maybe as we ask these questions, what we're hearing is a statement like, if I slow down, I fall behind. Or rest is a reward. I haven't earned it. Or I will rest when I retire. Or who knows what else is under there, if I will not be relevant in the work that I do, if I'm not constantly involved in these meetings or networking spots. And then at the identity level, we often find the real driver. So below belief, and we're going to ask questions that get us deeper. And what we might hear is something like, I'm the dependable one. I'm the strong one. I'm the one who holds it all together. So if Maria tries to change her behavior, saying no more often, resting more, slowing down, but she's still operating from an identity of I'm the one who holds it all together. And if I don't show up to these things, I will no longer be relevant. Her nervous system is going to resist that change. It's such an aha moment. I have walked so many people through this model, and it is such an aha moment when we can get down to this, oh, wow, look at this. I didn't even realize that this belief was here or that I was still holding on to this identity. It allows us to really think about, Maria's not changing because she doesn't want to grow, but because that identity once kept her safe. And so our brain has held on to it. Her brain has held on to it. So her system isn't being stubborn. It's being loyal. It worked at some point. It served me at some point. And this is why change so often feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because the behavior is trying to evolve it, but the identity hasn't caught up yet. Right? It has not been rewired. And this is the moment where self-compassion matters more than self-discipline. We don't have to keep driving it. What we need to do is pause and go inward with love and compassion and go, who's in there? Who's doing what in here? Who's believing what in here that's keeping me stuck?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Ready to level up how you lead at work and at home? Empower Coaching and Training brings brain-based coaching, mindfulness tools, and real-world strategies you can share with those you serve and live with. Get started now. Visit us at yesempower.com.
So identity answers a powerful question, which is what I just posed. Who am I really? What? And the nervous system is wired to protect that identity, even when that identity is outdated or limiting. From a survival standpoint, what's familiar often feels safer than what's new. I teach about this all the time in nearly every workshop. It's kind of the foundation. This is what we define as comfort zone or habit zone. And it is, our brains are not designed to help us go out there and take chances and thrive and be vulnerable and all of those things. Our brains are wired for familiarity because that's safety, right? So if someone believes, like wholeheartedly, truly deep brain believes, I'm not disciplined, I'm not creative, I've always been anxious, I'm bad with money, I don't follow through, I'm not a natural leader, the brain will quietly organize our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors to stay consistent with that identity. Not because it's true, folks, but because it's familiar, because it's safe. Here's the part I want to say with a lot of care. Those identity beliefs didn't come from nowhere. At some point, the identity and the beliefs that we hold probably made sense. They likely protected us, or they were an adaptive skill for us, or they kept us safe. So we don't need to meet those identities and beliefs with shame. Rather, we're going in a bit like an archaeologist, like, oh my gosh, look what I discovered. Isn't this amazing? We don't need to fight them. Real change doesn't happen through force. It happens through discovery, through allowing, through compassion, through rewiring how we view ourselves. I want to offer a simple reflection you can try. So again, as I always say when I do this, you can do it now or later. If you're driving or you're distracted, know that I've put this in the show notes as well. I always do, for you to be able to go back and check this out. But I'm going to walk you through it. So first, I want you to name the pattern. So where do you most often feel stuck right now? Or where do you most often feel like you want change? Next, as you're talking about this, pay attention to what it is that you're saying. Notice what identity language you're using. So I'd like to do that, but I'm not the kind of person that does that. I'd like to do that, but I'm not good with money, right? Notice those beliefs. I'd like to do that, but the world won't let me, or so-and-so won't have it, or whatever it is. Notice it, not through the shame lens, but through that discovery lens. What does it say about who I believe I am? And then honor that old identity as you discover it, as you hear it. How might this belief have helped or protected you in the past? Where did this serve me? Thank you for having created this, because how important it was for me in that part of my life, right? And then finally, introduce the updated identity. So this is who I am becoming. This is who I am evolving into. Not who you should be, not who you're forcing yourself to be, but who you're genuinely growing into. So Maria, I would invite you to think about that as you posed your question. Who are you becoming? And I know, Maria, I made up this calendar example for you, so please modify it for your real life. But if you are the person who creates space for creativity and self-reflection and have boundaries around your time and how you spend it, and that you are relevant and worthy no matter, then who are you if you are a person that believes that, right? You can come at it through different lenses. If I am this person, then what do I believe about myself, right? And just play with that. We don't change by fighting who we've been. We change by updating the story, by rewiring. Identity level change doesn't happen through pressure or perfection. It happens when the nervous system feels safe enough to try something new. The brain learns through repetition, experience, and regulation, not through self-criticism. So all of this is wrapped in love. And this is why coaching done well works at this level. It creates safety while inviting growth. So if change hasn't been sticking for you, or even if it has, looking at it through this lens could be very powerful, because it's a tool we can come back to over and over and over again. We can look at, where is the stuck point? And let me walk through this more deeply. Let me look at environment, at behavior, at capabilities, at beliefs, and at identity, and see where I'd like to invite some change. You aren't broken if you're not moving forward. You're not lazy. You're not failing. You may simply be ready to change at a deeper level, right? You're not asking yourself the right questions, or you're not working with a coach who's asking the right questions. Because when identity shifts, behavior follows. If I believe this about myself, then I will do these things. If I believe myself to be an incredible whatever, gardener, let's say, I'm just going to use a neutral example, then I'm doing things that I'm testing my soil and I'm testing my water and I'm getting the right seasonal seeds for the right seasonal zones and all of those things, right? I'm doing those things because this is who I am. When beliefs update, new possibilities open. So go and play with those identity and beliefs. Listen to yourself. Talk. You will say things or think things about yourself and about yourself to others that will very clearly allow you to see or hear the way you think about yourself, who you think you are, and what you think is possible for you in the world. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you and your questions and all of those other things. You can email info@yesempower.com. Again, I will put links in the show notes. If you'd like support navigating identity level change through coaching, leadership development, or becoming a professional coach, you can find more at yesempower.com. Thanks for tuning in to Rewired, where neuroscience meets real life change. If you enjoyed today's conversation, I'd be so grateful if you take a moment to leave a 5-star review. Your feedback helps people discover the tools, insights, and inspirations they need to create lasting change. While you're leaving that 5-star review, please also subscribe and share an episode with a friend. Remember, the way you think shapes the way you live. Every intentional thought, every mindful choice rewires your brain and your life. So go live intentionally, live thoughtfully, and never underestimate the power of your own mind to transform your world. Until next time, this is Tiffany with Empower Coaching and Training. Stay curious, stay empowered, and keep rewiring for real change.
Growth starts here. Empower Coaching and Training invites you to become a certified coach through our CPEC Academy, an ICF-accredited program with Oregon State University. Our next cohort begins February 28th, and space is limited. So apply now at yesempower.com.